Hey, Kelly.
Morning, Counselor Luloff. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. We're about to start the meeting on YouTube.
Then I will go on mute. Good morning, colleagues. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Maybe a thumbs up if you hear my dulcet tones.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. John here.
I see Carol Ann there. Matt is here. So do we have quorum, Madam Coordinator?
Yes, you do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the first Auditor General Hiring Panel meeting, which will be conducted by virtual means through Zoom, while we continue to practice physical distancing to keep everyone safe. Just a reminder to keep your microphones muted until I call upon you to speak. At any point, if you do want to speak, you should use the raise hand Zoom function, which you will find in the Zoom controls at the bottom of your Zoom window near the audio controls. The committee coordinator and I will be watching for these cues. The usual 5-minute speaking limit will also apply. We don't have any public delegations signed up. However, members of the public are also welcome to provide written comments, which will be circulated to members of council and the committee. I remind you that this meeting is being live streamed and will be archived to YouTube. And if you enable your camera, you will appear to meeting participants and also on the YouTube stream. Before I proceed, I'd like to do a quick roll call of members. Councillor Conseiller Cloutier.
Présent.
Can we hear you, Jean? Your mic's not on.
Present, yes. I'm unmuted.
I'm getting a thumbs up, but I'm not hearing. No. So just give us a second here, Jean.
Okay.
The rest of us can hear you, Jean.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it's just an issue in the council chambers. Jean, do you want to try that again?
I am here, yes, indeed.
Okay, merci. Councillor Dudas?
I'm here.
Councillor Lulov?
Présent.
Councillor Meehan?
I'm here. Thank you.
And Councillor DeRuz has sent his regrets. Are there any declarations of interest? None? Before we begin the agenda business, I'd like to ask the City Clerk, Mr. O'Connor, to provide some opening remarks regarding procedural matters, the panel, and our task at hand. And following these comments, we'll consider agenda items number 1 and 2. Mr. O'Connor will provide an overview and remarks for each item and is available to respond to questions. So, Mr. City Clerk, over to you, please. And you'll have to unmute yourself there, Rick. Is Rick on the line?
It seems that he's unmuted himself, but we cannot hear him.
Yeah, Rick, we're not hearing you. And I don't see Rick on the screen at this point. So we're trying to contact Rick right now. Can anyone see Rick on their screen? Matt or Carol Ann, Laura, Jean? So we're just calling him right now.
I am showing Rick O'Connor on the list of participants, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I see his name popping up, but I don't see him or hear him.
He's not there, yeah. I'm doing this on my phone, just so that you know.
Looks good.
Yeah.
So the members of the public apologize for the delay. We're just waiting and tracking down our city clerk. Yeah. Yeah, so Rick is having some challenges with his computer, so he's going to come into the council chamber with me. So that should just take a moment. I guess he's over in the Heritage Building. Matt, what does your t-shirt say? Wow, that's a good idea. Every community in your ward.
Yeah, nice.
Smart move.
That's a good idea, yeah, actually.
Let's write that down.
And make sure you don't forget one.
How did you determine the order, Mr. Deputy Mayor? That's there it is. It's not alphabetical.
Favoritism to Fallingbrook.
It's just the layout, right?
Do we have a place for him to sit? Okay. Is that a nice stone fireplace you have back there, Carol Ann?
Yeah, it's very old, original to the house, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful. Is it gas or wood?
Wood.
Yeah, those are the
Wood.
best.
Yeah, wood. Speaking of which, I guess I should get a few cord. Okay.
Laura, how are you doing?
Okay, I'm good.
Did you get
I'm
the
actually
window
looking
fixed?
forward to, I can't wait for 2020 to be done. I don't know about you guys, but this is like the year that just keeps giving.
We've all
Yeah.
had enough of 2020.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you get the window fixed, Laura? Like that's.
they're gonna take a couple weeks to have to order it in, but they did get out there pretty quick, so that was good. And you know, it's been wonderful because the outpouring from the community and my neighbors and just everyone has been phenomenal. And you know, it's really getting me and the kids through it. And yeah, we'll get through it. We'll figure it out. It is what it is. But.
Someday these will all be very interesting stories.
Yeah.
But right now, not so much.
He's going to write a book.
Yeah.
Best of times, the worst of times, 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, so the clerk has arrived. He's just getting set up at a desk with a headset, so we'll just give him a moment. Again, my apologies. On va commencer avec une petit discours de la greffier, Monsieur O'Connor. Et après ça, on avait deux choses sur l'agenda. We have two items on the agenda, and let everyone get on with the rest of their days. Just looking over there. There we go. I see Rick O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. So Rick, we just did a roll call, and now we're asking you to offer some comments, and then we'll go on to item 1, election of a vice chair.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, members of the panel. Apologies for the delay. For some reason, my audio wasn't working, but everything else was. What I think, Mr. Mayor, is if I traveled over to Chambers, I think I'll just give a brief 5-minute overview of both items and where we are currently at in the process. And then you can move to item number 1, and then I'll take any questions whatsoever. As members of the hiring panel and anyone else listening will appreciate, last November in 2019, the Ontario Ombudsman wrote a very critical report of the region of Niagara Falls with regards to the bizarre hiring of their CAO, and it was entitled Inside Job. And as most members know, there was allegations with regards to various members inside the regional chair's office favoring and providing an external candidate for the job of city manager with the information, confidential questions, potential answers, and various other things. As a result of that, one of the major issues and policy issues that came out of the Ombudsman's report was for councils to set out in a policy the hiring of such statutory officers. Mr. Mayor, council did that in April of 2020. I think other than the region of Niagara, we were probably the second in the province of Ontario to do so. So everything based on the hiring panel today and future will be with regards to the city's reasonably new statutory officer recruitment, appointment, and contract administration policy and procedures. In May, Mr. Mayor, you will recall that you and Councillor Cloutier moved a motion that actually began this recruitment process with regards to the establishment of the hiring panel. In June of this year, Mr. Mayor, I sent a memo to all members of council with regards to some of the issues that arose as a result of that May meeting, including the ongoing development of an exit interview process. At that point in time, there was also some discussion with members of council, and Councillor Brockington was one of the ones that led with regards to his and Councillor Cloutier's motion with regards to having an informal discussion between the chair of audit committee, the vice chair of audit committee, and the auditor general to provide some insights with regards to qualifications and qualities for this particular position. Mr. Mayor, I'm pleased to announce that that discussion took place earlier this morning. Staff will be working with HR to assemble our notes on that, and will be ultimately providing them to confidentially to the hiring panel and to our external firm with regards to report number 2 in this matter. Mr. Mayor, today's meeting is very much a technical meeting. No surprise, we have no one from the outside. This is very much a process that is not like the standard public policy decision-making process that members of council are used to. And in fact, it is a bona fide hiring policy where things like confidentiality and the ability to speak freely is going to be very important, Mr. Mayor, because you're not only going to be setting about a recommendation for council to hire, presumably, an auditor general for a 7-year term, so for more than 2 terms of council, but also with the fact that you are dealing with people's professional careers and lives at stake. So, Mr. Mayor, that's the end of my my opening comments. I can speak freely to any of the matters before the committee, but right after, the next steps that I would take should council appoint the external firm here would be to engage them swiftly and begin to go down the process of providing a list of candidates for this hiring panel to use. My final comment, Mr. Mayor, would be to note that even though we have to start and close these meetings in open session, they are going to be from here on in camera sessions, and they will only be involved with those members of council that are on the hiring panel and city staff who have executed a confidentiality agreement. So, Mr. Mayor, that is my overview. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions of the city clerk before we go on to item 1? You just wave your hand if you do. No? Okay, thank you for that. So item 1 is election of chair, élection d'une vice-présidente. As you know, I'm the chair of the hiring committee. I would move that the chair of audit, namely Jean Cloutier, be elected as vice chair of the auditor general hiring panel. Are there any other nominations? On the motion? Carried?
Carried.
Carried. Thank you very much. The next item, as the clerk indicated, is the external search firm, overall timeline and auditor general job description and salary range. Agence de recrutement externe, échéancier général et échelle, salaire et description de poste de vérificateur général. We have a motion from Councillor Cloutier. If he would like to read the motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a long motion. I think Carole is, thank you very much. You are sharing it. The motion deals with the external search firm, the overall timelines, and with respect. And one of the items with respect to this process, and I'll read the therefore. Therefore, be it resolved that the Auditor General Hiring Panel approve the City of Ottawa staff identified in Appendix A, and there it is on the screen, as staff who may be permitted to access confidential information related to the 2020 Auditor General recruitment process, subject to provisions of the statutory officer recruitment, appointment, and contract administration policy and procedures, and those staff signing the related mandatory confidentiality agreement as described in the motion. I think there's a note to the motion that the persons listed in Appendix A have who are in italics have not submitted their forms, but others have, and so I would ask those persons in the whose names are in italic on the form as of the date this was prepared to provide their forms to the clerk's office, but the others have, and so that is the motion that I am so moving.
Okay, thank you very much. So do all members of the committee have a copy of the motion, and can they see it on the screen? Does anyone have any questions about Councillor Cloutier's motion readdressing confidentiality matters? No. So on the motion as presented, carried.
Carried.
So next, Mr. O'Connor, should we approve the three recommendations, or do you want to do a presentation on the selection process for the recruitment firm first?
No, Mr. Mayor, I would be pleased if council would move the hiring panel would move the report as amended and carry all the items.
Okay, so I'll just read them out for the benefit of members of the public and media who may be watching and listening. Item 1 of Section 2 is approve the appointment of Augers Bernston to assist the hiring panel in undertaking executive search for a new Auditor General as described in this report. Establish the overall general timeline for the Auditor General recruitment and appointment process as described in this report. And 3, receive the Auditor General job description and salary range as described in this report and attached as document 4 for information. Mr. Clerk, did you have anything else you wanted to add? Maybe just give us, you went through an RFP process. I understand a number of firms were submitted proposals, and the recommendation from staff is Augers Bernston. I'm probably not pronouncing that properly.
And neither am I able to do so, Mr. Mayor. You're correct. We went through a bit of a process. All of the firms that we reached out to for submissions on this particular matter were on our list with the supply services already. So they were already pre-approved. The Chief Procurement's officer advised that we could just pick one. I said, no, I would rather go through a process whereby they filed submissions. My office reviewed them, and you're correct, Mr. Mayor, Augers Bernston is the one we are recommending. They have a vast amount of experience in this particular area, and I think most recently of importance for us is the fact that they hired the Auditor General for the City of Toronto most recently. They've also been involved in a series of hirings with the City of Ottawa at the senior level, including the General Manager of PIDE and the General Manager of Innovative Client Services most recently. So for all of those reasons, Mr. Mayor, we're making the recommendations.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions to either the clerk or on with the specific reference to the 3 items that we just listed?
I do, Mr. Mayor. I do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go to Jean and then Matt, I saw. Go ahead, Jean.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Clerk. I just have one question. In the package that was distributed, the job description of the current Auditor General is there, but there's no date on that job description. Do you know how old that job description is, Mr. O'Connor?
This is a revised job description, Mr. Mayor, which I worked with HR on most recently. So as soon as this August panel approves it and accepts it, that will be the date on it from here on in. So it has been updated for this morning's meeting.
Noted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Luloff, please.
Just very briefly, Mr. Clerk, how many firms did we initially engage as a part of this process?
You're on mute, Mr. Clerk.
Sorry about that. We engaged 5 external firms who were all on the city's list, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk.
Deputy Mayor Dudas, do you have any questions on this item? Councillor Meehan? Where's Carolyn? There she is. No. Okay. So on the recommendations as presented, carried.
Carried.
Adopt day. In-camera items. Are there any in-camera items? Notices of motion for consideration of subsequent meeting of the hiring panel. None. Inquiries. Other business. Autre question. And our next meeting, the proposed date is on or about Thursday, October 8th. As outlined in the staff report, the city clerk's comments, members of the panel will be required to attend all future meetings. So we'll have to make sure that we get a date that works for everyone's schedule because we need everyone there. Mr. Clerk, October 8th seems a long way away. Is there a reason why we couldn't have this sooner? Are you off mute?
Am I off mute, Mr. Mayor? Yes. I will work with your office and you to set up the next meeting as soon as possible.
Because I think my experience from the last hiring when we hired Mr. Hughes, it was all done, I believe, in one day. So I'm just trying to remember when Mr. Hughes' last day is.
Mr. Hughes' last day is on December 31st of this year, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we've got quite a good buffer there. I just don't want us to be without an auditor general.
I will point out, Mr. Mayor, that October 8th, I'm just looking at my schedule, is planning committee. And I know Councillor Dudas is a member of planning committee, so we will absolutely have to coordinate to ensure that everyone knows.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So the clerk and the coordinator of the committee have taken notice of that. Thank you. Okay, so adjournment, motion to adjourn, carried. Adopté.
Carried.
Thank you all very much and enjoy this beautiful weather if you get a chance to go outside today. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.